Hello, and welcome to the Throw Pillow. This is a pre-recorded episode of Conversation Share, where we stick to one topic, or at least try to. I am your presenter, Danny, the lethargic lass, and this is my co-presenter and wee bairn.
Artemis, the Fae, who's dealing with dogs. Why do I hear an echo? Do you hear an echo?
I do not hear an echo.
We're professionals.
We're professionals. Today, on today's episode, we've decided to try something a little bit different. Although, to be honest, all episodes of the Throw Pillow are a little bit different. We are going to do a tag. I saw a video yesterday, a crochet creator tag by the YouTuber The Faded Wildflower Crochet. I will link her in the doobly doo.
Doobly doo. What is this, early 2000s? What is this, 2004?
Oh, but she's not the first person to do a crochet creator tag, but it was the most recent one that I've seen. So I figured we would go ahead and use her questions to tell people what kind of crocheters we are. This is what kind of crocheters we are, and what kind of, you can take it one of two ways, either what kind of crocheters we are or what kind of crochet YouTubers we are. One or both.
Also, she has seen the questions and has not prepared any answers. I have not seen the questions whatsoever, so these are going to be off the cuff.
Exactly, off the cuff. And I'm reading them off of my phone, which keeps wanting to go dark. So if you see me tapping it, that's the problem. Okay. So the first question, how did you learn to crochet?
Well, that's an easy one. You taught me how to crochet.
Well, do you have any memories about how you learned to crochet?
I fully don't, which is kind of frustrating because people ask me all the time to teach them how to crochet. And I'm like, I have an idea of how I want to teach them how to crochet based on like the things that I know are important and yada yada. But I don't remember, other than like, I remember maybe a couple times of like doing finger crochet and you showing us how to do that to make just like a little chain. And I teach that to little kids all the time, is the finger crochet. But like proper crochet with a hook, I do not recall at all because I was a tiny baby.
And to be fair, being the old lady that I am, I don't remember how I taught you to crochet. I do not remember how or when. I do remember that it did not involve YouTube videos.
No.
Like most of the people in your age group who seem to have learned online, it did not involve YouTube videos. I have a vague memory of a phase where I decided, I can't remember where it was. I think it was sometime when your sisters were in middle school, of deciding that I wanted to teach all of you either how to knit or crochet. I figured
I remember this.
You all needed to know one or the other. And I feel like you took to crochet. And I feel like you crocheted a bunch of scrunchies in the beginning. And your sister, C1, took to crochet. And C2 didn't take to either one of them. And I can't remember if I didn't try to teach your brother because I was being very heteronormative, or
I thought that you did,
maybe I asked him and he just said no, or he might have been too young at the time. I can't remember.
Maybe because if they were in middle school, depending on what grade,
because he's only a little bit younger than them, so he wouldn't have been too young. So maybe he just was not interested whatsoever. But I remember, I have a vague memory of a period where I felt like all of you need to learn how to crochet. Just like I had a vague memory of, all of you need to learn who the Beatles are. And
I remember this.
All of you need to learn to play board games. All of you need to learn to have better handwriting. So we're all going to learn italics now.
Life skills, people.
I go through these phases where I'm being a bad mother. I don't remember how I learned to crochet. Not exactly. I
Was not your
again,
grandmama?
but again, I am 58 years old. So, and I learned how to crochet in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it wasn't like an all at once thing, like a lot of people, because I read some of the comments in Faded Wildflower Crochet's video when I watched it yesterday, and a lot of people are like, well, my grandma tried to teach me, but I learned a little bit, but then wasn't interested. Fast forward 20 years, and now I want
And
to do
now it's
everybody.
popular. Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things. Mine is a little bit like that. My grandmother didn't live in the same, my nana. My nana didn't live in the same state, and I vaguely remember her when she would come down for a summer visit, um, teaching me how to do the chain.
Mm-hmm.
And she also taught me how to cast on for my knitting and how to do the knit stitch. But I never learned how to cast off.
Yes, the
And
infamous knitting story.
and for crochet, I remember learning how to do the chain, but not learning how to do any other stitches. The
Mm-hmm.
chain, honestly, the crochet chain, I might have learned from my mother and not my nana. I
Mm-hmm.
know the knitting, I definitely learned from my nana, but not. But then, she would teach me a little bit. She'd be gone for a whole year, so I learned the bulk of how to actually make stitches from books. From
Which is
yeah,
wild.
go to the library and get a book.
I feel like
Or
if
like or
I
like
had
you
had,
go to the department store. You still see it every once in a while, but not as often because there is YouTube. But there would be the learn to crochet pamphlets
mm-hmm,
that are sitting in the little thing hanging off of the yarn shelf. And so
mm-hmm.
you would, there weren't really kits. You would buy the pamphlet, you would buy a ball of yarn, and you'd buy a hook, and then you go home and then you try to do whatever you could do.
I feel like if I had had to learn from print, from something printed and not
Mhm.
like someone showing me or a video, I would have had a much harder time. Much harder.
I think that's why I tend to be a little less, what's the word? Not patient, but tolerant.
Understanding? Tolerant.
Yes. I tend to be a little less tolerant of the younger crocheters who are like, "Can you just make us a video tutorial?"
That
Get
also
off, get
irritates
off,
me a
get
little
off
bit
your hump
though.
and learn how to read a pattern. The
Like
patterns have been around for hundreds of years and they'll be around when YouTube bites the dust. Learn how to read a pattern.
I I sort of agree and sort of disagree. Having YouTube tutorials for the stitches themselves,
Mm-hmm.
so like how to single crochet, double
Mm-hmm.
crochet, front post double crochet, that stuff
Mm-hmm.
for these specific stitches, I feel like is very useful.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like, if someone makes a video, or like if you have made up a weird stitch that people need to know, doing a video for that, it is convenient and useful and very nice of people to make full video tutorials for
Mm-hmm.
their patterns, but you should not need a full video tutorial for the whole pattern. If you know the stitches, like you
Mm-hmm.
might need to know the abbreviations, what each
Mm-hmm.
abbreviation means, but if you know the stitches, I feel like you
You can
shouldn't
figure out.
necessarily always need a video tutorial for every single pattern.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I have watched tutorials before on how to
Mhm.
do certain stitches where where I have done a pattern and I'm like, I don't quite understand what she has written here. And
Mhm.
again, I'm old now. We have video. I don't have to put in the hard graft to figure out how to do this thing,
Mhm.
but at least I know how to if I had to.
Yeah.
Is the thing, you know.
I I hate following video tutorials. It is so frustrating because if I'm crocheting, I'm usually crocheting and like watching something or crocheting and listening to a podcast or something like that. And so having to like I'll watch my video and then I get to a point that I haven't seen and I've got to pause my video, go back to the tutorial video, watch a section of the tutorial video, make sure I've got it and then go back to my video. No, I would almost always rather have a written pattern unless it's something that like I was saying earlier, if I'm following the written pattern and then they're like front post front post, back post, double loops, circle around. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I'll
Mm-hmm.
watch the video for that little section and then go
Mm-hmm.
back to my written pattern
Yeah.
because I
But
fully
we
prefer
are
written pattern.
starting to stray.
We
But
are.
yeah,
Let's
but
maybe get to the
basically,
next
yeah,
question.
let's rein it in. But basically, I learned to crochet from books mostly, and I did do an off and on like most people, where I crocheted a bit in middle school and then stopped for a while because I didn't have money to buy yarn because I didn't have an allowance. Um, then got to be a young adult with my own money, and I crocheted a little bit when you were first born, and then gave that up because we I had my hands full with children's. I have 4 children, so I had my hands full with children, so I put it down for a while, and then I come back to it off and on, as my health, because sometimes my hands hurt, my arms hurt, and a 2-week break turns into a 5-month break.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's me. Okay, next question. What is your favorite thing to crochet?
Mm, my favorite thing to crochet that I was unprepared for. I think it just depends on. It just depends, cause like I like crocheting stuffed animals, but like not while I'm in the thick of it. Like I love having a big crocheted dragon that spans my entire wingspan, but the actual act of crocheting that in the thick of it,
Mm.
not so much. My favorite thing to crochet. I don't know. That's a hard
Is
question
it?
because
Well,
we're in a very different circumstance because you crochet like for fun and to give gifts to people, whereas a lot of my crocheting is for business stuff, crocheting stuff that like to sell. And
yeah.
so I have things that I will always default to crocheting. So like if I don't know that I've got enough yarn for a specific project that I want to work on and I've just got some scrap yarn in my bag, I will always crochet a bandana, a scrunchie, sometimes I'll make hats if I've just got some extra yarn and don't feel like working up some weird things. I'll like a slouchy hat or something, but or a witch hat. Ooh, actually, I think witch hats. The witch hats are pretty fun actually
Yeah.
because they work up really quick. They look really cute when they're done, and depending on the colors and stuff that you do, I think right now my answer would be witch hats.
I think for me, in general, my favorite things to crochet are small things, because
Yes.
I am more of a project knitter, not knitter, but a project stitcher than a process stitcher. I am
Mm-hmm.
not one who ever I'm not one who particularly enjoys the the
The motion.
motion of crocheting all the time. I don't like the person who created this tag, Faded Wildflower Crochet. She enjoys the meditation of the
Mm-hmm.
movement of the hook and all that other stuff. That ain't me, girl. That's not me. I mean, I'm glad that I know how to do it so that I can create something that I enjoy having or giving to somebody, but I like seeing what it looks like when I'm done. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily enjoy all this. So I like to make things where I can quickly see that I've
Work it
created
up and be
something.
done.
So
Yeah.
I like making small things. And for years that was hats.
Mm-hmm.
And hats are still kind of on my list. I like hats. And baby things like baby sweaters.
Mm-hmm.
I like hats and little girl sweaters, and little girl dresses.
Have I
Those
made a
are
I did make. Did I make one baby sweater? I think I did. Maybe. I don't think I've made. I know I haven't made very many at all. I've made several baby blankets, even though I hate making blankets. Um, but I don't think I've ever made a baby sweater. I used to though. Whenever somebody would say, whenever I found out that somebody was having a baby, my favorite thing to make would be those little baby booties that look like Converses. You know the ones
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about? I
yeah,
loved
yeah,
making those. And then
yeah.
I like went to make one a couple years ago and I'm like, oh, this is so fiddly. I have lost my interest in this. I do not want to do this anymore.
Okay, next question. If you could only use one yarn for the rest of your life, what would it be?
So like yarn weight, yarn brand.
Yeah, that's what the creator of the tag was like when she made this question. She didn't realize what she meant
Mm,
herself.
okay.
So you can answer it either way or both ways or
It's actually my question. My answer is super simple.
okay.
Red Heart Super Saver favorite stripes worsted weighted. I love Red Heart Super Saver favorite stripe. It is my absolute favorite one.
Yeah, I think if I had to use one yarn for the rest of your, like I said, I have to agree with you there. Red Heart Super Saver because it comes in it's a wide category.
Mm-hmm.
It for number one, so it's not like I'm using something like Bernat blanket where I'll be stuck with 12 colors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wide category where there are lots of colors.
Yes.
Because if you go by the way Yarnspirations categorizes yarn, it's a little bit of a cheat, but if you go by the way
Yes.
Yarnspiration categorizes yarns, then all of the ombres, the stripes, the
Yep.
everything is just Red Heart Super
All
Saver.
Red Heart Super Saver.
All of that is Red Heart Super Saver. So that would keep you busy for a lifetime. And
And it's
honestly,
not expensive either.
it's more expensive than it used to be.
Oh, absolutely. But it's
It
not like
used to it
buying.
used to be the cheap option, and now it's getting up there with Lion Brand and some of the other ones. But it
Mm-hmm.
used to be the cheap option. It's not the cheap option anymore, but it's still affordable and available
Yes.
because most places you go to, you can at least find a couple skeins of it. So, and
Mm-hmm.
it has a wide variety, like I said, wide variety of colors. So, Red Heart Super Seven. I know a lot of people hate it.
But
I
I don't.
also I also know that I hate to be an apologist, but I also know that it is softer than it used to be because I have been knitting and crocheting off and on for 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
and there it used to be a lot more scratchy.
Because you also have pulled out yarns from your stash that have been in your stash for who knows how long.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember when the last time you did it was when you like went through your stash, but you
Hmm.
found a very old Red Heart Super Saver and it felt different than the Red Heart
The
Super Saver.
new, yes. Yes. So they have come up with a softer formula. Some dyes, some colors are softer than the others. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if what they put in the dye makes the yarn softer or whatever, but some colors are softer than others. And but it's just very sturdy. It's very,
It's pretty
you don't
reliable.
whoever you, especially if you're making stuff for gifts, you don't have to worry about them throwing it in the washer and dryer. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to come out just fine.
You don't
And
have to
so
worry
it
about
just
like
works.
if you work it up and frog it and work it up and frog it, you don't have to worry about it getting super scringly.
Yeah, exactly. And so if we're talking about the yarn, the brand, Red Heart Super Saver, if we're talking Red Heart Super Saver still fits into my other answer, which is the weight, it would be
Worsted.
worsted weight.
Yeah.
And that is, if you could use one yarn for the rest of your life, or for the majority of my life, that is what I've used.
Yeah.
So it's not like it would be a
Yeah. Cause,
hardship if you cut me off tomorrow from these other yarns
mm,
because this is what I've used for most of my stitching for most of my life. I
yeah.
try some of these other things, but
I've used because I do make a lot of amigurumis and stuffies and stuff for my business. I've used a lot of like chenilles, Bernat,
mhm.
the what's the one, Sweet Snuggles and Sweet Snuggles Light. I've used a lot of those, and I still like if I had to use one forever, I would use worsted weighted. If I had to get rid of one, I liked using Bernat until I used some of these other chenilles, and then I was like, oh, I don't have to strain my entire shoulder to work this yarn because I crochet
Mhm,
pretty quickly and I want to be able to keep
mhm.
my groove. And in doing that, it'll mess up this whole arm with the Bernat.
Yeah. So next question: weirdest thing you've ever made?
The two weirdest things that I've ever made are I crocheted. I had a I had a coworker that asked me to crochet a beard. It was a full like dwarf looking beard, had braids in it and everything. I crocheted the base and then attached the yarn to it. And
Mm-hmm.
she wanted it like a royal bright blue because it matched her blue hair. So that's one of them. And then her husband asked me to crochet. I crocheted a football helmet. Do you remember this football
Uh-huh.
helmet?
Yes, I remember the football helmet.
And I will never do it again. It was so fiddly, it was so frustrating. I had to use one of those plastic mesh nets that you use for cross stitching. I think you use them for. But I used
Uh-huh.
that for, I believe, the guard here, the face guard for the. It was it was a pain in the butt. I
It
will,
was a
if I
lot of
remember
work.
while editing, I will insert a picture here. Bing. It was a lot of work.
Look at you, Bing. Okay, I think the weirdest thing that I have ever made, and we have discussed this before,
Oh,
but
I think I know what it is.
what are you gonna say it is? Because
Is
I'm
it
about to
the
pull up a picture of it, but you go ahead and say it.
Is it the thong?
See, I was gonna say that, but that was not crocheted. That was knitted, so I couldn't add that one.
I thought it was crocheted. So I just outed you
No,
for making a thong for no reason.
people make thongs. It's okay. No, the weirdest thing that I have knit was a Lytton hat for one of my daughters. Um,
Oh yeah, I remember this. Here, let me add it. Let's put us. Oh my goodness, the
and
Lytton hat.
yeah, and that's the weirdest for me, not only because it looks strange.
I mean, it looks
Um,
like a Lytton.
I'm glad you think so. It looks strange, but also it was the strangest thing for me personally because if anybody who knows me as a stitcher, I do not believe in reinventing the wheel. Okay. I am not a pattern writer. I am not a, I see this thing out in the wild, so let me just go ahead and make it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where people, free form crochet, that's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Where people are just like, you know what, I want a blanket, I have some yarn, I'm just going to get started, and you have no pattern, you don't know where you're going with it, you just that's not me. And I'm not a person who's going to create a pattern either. You know, I have trouble, I have, yeah, I know, I have trouble just, we've discussed this on another video, but I used to have trouble early years. If a pattern was pictured, if a sweater was pictured made in green yarn, I couldn't picture myself making it in blue.
Which is fully
I
wild to
had
me.
the hardest time just doing anything that's not to the letter on the pattern. So
Mm-hmm.
this was fully, I took an existing hat pattern and then I had to go and take every bit of that hat is like the little white parts for the ears were, I went to a different pattern to learn how to do that. The little
Mm-hmm.
whisker things for the whiskers, I went to another pattern to learn how to do that. The little eye shapes, I went to a different pattern to learn how to do that. I had to go to a YouTube tutorial to learn how to do top
Surface
um,
crochet.
surface crochet to do the little lines across. I mean, I went to like 5, 6 different patterns and smushed them together to make this hat.
I mean, it looks good. It
So
looks like something that was just a pattern.
that was, and I don't know if I could ever recreate that. And it's one of the sad things for me is that since I give most of my crochet away, I will never see that hat again except when I pull up this picture. I will
Hmm.
never see anybody wearing it. I don't know if it was well loved or if it went to Goodwill. Nothing. But okay, next thing. Something you'll never crochet.
Hmm. Something I'll never see. This one's hard because there are a lot. I feel like there are a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I hate doing this. I don't think I'll ever want to do this, and then I do them anyway, like making
Yeah.
blankets
Yup.
and making sweaters. Um, Something I would never crochet. That I don't know that I have an answer for that. Cause sometimes I will really just get a wild hair and like I guess I'm making myself a bathing suit now. Like I will just I don't have an answer for that actually.
Well, I have a couple things off the top of my head that I can think of. Um, and again, I'm saying never now, but like the first one, I am never, ever, 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 ever going to make. And that is one of those cat butthole coasters.
Ah, I love those.
I think those are just, ugh.
One of my coworkers at work has cats that I was just babysitting for a while she was gone, and I was thinking about making her.
I just,
It's so funny.
I just, and in general, now that I think about it, in general, even though I see a lot of coaster things, I probably won't make coasters because I don't know people in real life who use coasters. I have like one friend who uses coasters, and she already has several sets of coasters.
Mm-hmm.
She likes using those like tile
Mm-hmm.
clay. So I don't think she would ever use a like soft
Yeah, I
something.
just don't think we
She has
associate
certain
with people in the coaster bracket.
She has yeah, exactly. Exactly. Most of the people we associate with their furniture isn't nice enough that it couldn't survive a ring from a beer bottle.
Beer bottle,
Um,
wild.
but another thing that I don't think I will ever crochet, but again, I sometimes I get in these retro weird things is and it's not like there's much call for this anyway, so it's not like unlike the cat butt coasters, it's not like people are screaming for these. But the old fashioned toilet roll covers that had the Barbie doll sticking in the top
Yes,
of them.
those are weird.
But I don't think people really make those anymore. It just hit me that
No,
I don't think I would ever make one of those.
wild.
I don't think I would ever make one of those, but yeah. Okay, so favorite thing you've made so far this year?
This year,
This year. This year of 2025, which, and I'm pulling up my Ravelry to try to remind myself because I don't, yeah.
I mean, we know I don't post anything on Ravelry. I use
Oh, see,
Ravelry.
I
I never
post all
post
my
anything.
stuff, so that's my whole reminder of,
Honestly, I think my favorite thing that I made this year was my I've got it sitting right here. My sword.
yay. That was a lot of filet crochet, and I can't believe you finished it so fast.
Me either, because it was like 3 evenings, 4 evenings, something like that. I'll
Yeah,
post a better picture here. Ding. I'm just forcing myself into a bunch of editing.
a um favorite thing. I mean, I don't really think anything that I've made this year stands out over anything else I've made this year, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the things I first of all, I haven't finished a lot this year
Mm-hmm.
because I'm looking at this list and I have finished like 3 things this year.
Which
And
also still fairly early in the year.
they've all, well, I mean, other crocheters have finished a lot more than me,
Mm.
but I've finished like 3, 4 things this year. And so I think probably the scarf that I just finished.
I did like that scarf. Are you pulling it up?
Yeah, I am.
I still need to get the pattern for that. Let me add it
This
into the.
this was a scarf. The pattern is by Moogly. Um yeah, I
It
only
looks
did
good.
9 rows. The original pattern calls for like 32 rows to make it like a really wide to where you could wear it as a scarf or wear it as a shawl, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I knew my recipient was not going to wear it that way, so I only just went 9 rows wide and stopped. Um, but I think in the
Latte stripe.
Red Heart Super Saver Latte Stripe, I
It
think in
looks so
particular,
good.
I don't like I don't like brown very much, but in that looks very nice. That yarn looks very nice in a mesh pattern where you can break up the browns. It's more appealing to me than if it
Mm-hmm.
was just a solid fabric. So yeah, again, I've only made 3 things this year, and they were all out of that yarn. So
It looks great.
I'm
Actually,
going
both of our
to,
favorite things are mesh things because you have the mesh scarf and I had the filet crochet.
yeah, that is true.
Mesh
Yeah,
is fun to work with.
but I just don't. I mean, I've worked on other things this year because I've worked on two. No, I've worked on 3 blankets
3
this year.
blankets, yeah. You just
It,
haven't
not
finished them
not
yet, yeah.
not counting the Avatar blankets. I've worked on
We're
three.
not we're not mentioning the avatar blanket. Not today. We're gonna
I've
move past that.
worked on 3 blankets this year, but I haven't finished any of them, so I
Mm,
can't. You know, the star blanket I'm real happy with, but I'm not finished it.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, I skipped a question. Where do you get your inspiration?
Where do I get my inspiration? I a lot of my inspiration I get from Instagram because Instagram, if you're in the like the little what am I thinking of? If you're on the Instagram app and you go to the search feature and it'll before you actually type anything to search, it just gives you a bunch of like recommendations of videos and pictures that you think
Mm-hmm.
you'll like. I'll just scroll through that because I search so many crochet things, it just gives me a lot of crochet recommendations. So I see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things in there that are real nice, like a lot of tops, a lot of things like that. And sometimes I'll really just kind of scroll through, like, I'll go to Ravelry and type in like the word witchy, put all my
Mm-hmm.
filters under of crochet, free pattern, or like not free if I have
Mm-hmm.
money at the time, make sure that there's a picture on, and I'll just set it to random, not like most popular or hot right now or anything. I'll set it to the little
Mm-hmm.
dice symbol of random and like, what you got for me, Ravelry?
I have never done that. I'll have to try that.
I found some hidden gems in there.
As far as for me with inspiration, I think yeah, it would have to be Ravelry because I'm not a person. I don't know if this counts as inspiration because I'm not a person who is like, oh, I want to crochet something. Let me go find something to crochet, or let me look at some, or to me, inspiration sounds like I'm just do going along with my day, and then all of a sudden I see something on a movie and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I really like that sweater she has on. I wonder if I can make a crochet version of that sweater. And then I, go make a pattern and blah, 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 like I see all these
Hmm.
young girlies do. That to me sounds like inspiration. Whereas, yeah, I see you raising your hand. Whereas I am more of I, or like Terry has asked me to make another pair of booties for her and her sister, little slippers to wear around
Hmm.
the house. Okay. So now I am going to go to Ravelry or a crochet magazine or something like that. Most likely Ravelry first, though,
Hmm.
to be honest. I because I look at the crochet magazines and a lot of the stuff I see in them are not anything that I want to make. So pretty much Ravelry, and I'll just start searching slipper patterns in Ravelry
Hmm.
till I find something that I think will
You got to
suit
use that random button.
for the colors that so I start off with a project that I am planning to make, and then I look for a pattern that suits what I know she wants. She wants like a booty shape. She wants, you know, bulky like size 5 yarn.
Well, I think that's
So,
also very is indicative of the word I'm thinking of. Indicative of our the two different reasons that we crochet. Because you crochet for practical reasons of I have a specific person that I want to give a thing to, or like somebody's having a baby, I want to do this. Whereas mine is like I'm about to go to a market. I need a wide variety of stuff to sit on my table. What's going
uh-huh.
on right now? And what's
Yeah.
going on right now in the
What's
crochet
hot?
zeitgeist. Yeah.
What's hot in the crochet?
What's hot,
What's
but also
selling
what's
at
something that
other
not everybody has. Because
yeah.
that's the other thing. Because the last market that I vended at was at my first Friday market that I did face paint, and I brought my friend Junie to vend the crochet for me. There were two, if not three, other crochet artists there
Oh wow.
with crochet items. Yeah, I we still made a decent amount of money. I think we made like a cool 100, $120, something like that, in just the crochet, not including my face paint stuff. But it was still like, that's why I am constantly, because at any market that I go to, I cannot guarantee that I'm going to be the only crochet artist there. So I try to have stuff that I know that not everybody is going to have.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is I'm jiggering the questions around a little bit because one question I think should be the last question.
Okay.
So what is your favorite thing about crochet?
Crochet is fast. At least for me, my favorite
Mhm.
thing about crochet is fast for me, because if
Mhm.
you guys haven't seen our streams, I am currently knitting a shawl. I have
Mhm.
been knitting this shawl for 2 weeks now, and
Mhm.
that shawl is currently big enough to be a bandana around my neck. I have
Mhm.
been for 2 weeks working on this shawl knitting, and it is literally, it's the size of my head, and that's about as big as it is. And but in that same time, because I've been working on it like a few out, I'll work on it and usually about an hour a day, and then maybe every other day is
Mhm.
is what I'm doing with the knitting one. But that you saw the big sword that I just whipped up, that's about 2 feet 3 feet long.
Uh-huh.
That I got done in 3 evenings. 3 evenings, and I've got this much. I don't even have enough camera for it. I've got so much space. But with knitting, it is so much slower. And then I also am just not as I'm not as comfortable with knitting, because I don't knit as often. I
Yeah.
picked it up recently because I was like, I just feel like doing some knitting, which is why I'm making the shawl, and maybe it'll get it out of my system. But I have not done nearly as much knitting as I have crocheting, so I'm so much slower with it. And then some of the stitches, like I have to look up a lot more stuff with the knitting. So I think my favorite thing about crochet is that crochet is fast and also forgiving, it feels like.
Yeah.
Because if I mess something up, like if I'm doing a granny square blanket and going around, if I only put 2 double crochets in this spot when there was supposed to be 3, I can just ignore it and keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my favorite thing about crochet is a what am I trying to think? I would say it's a favorite thing for crochet right now. It's not like an
Mm-hmm.
evergreen thing. It's a right now thing, and that is that the garments and things that are coming out are so interesting right now
Yes.
because there was a long period. I'm going to be honest. There was a long period where I was one of those people because I do know how to knit and crochet that I was, and I'm fairly equally skilled in both. You know, so I always thought of knitting was for clothing,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and crochet was for blankets and occasionally like hats. I liked crochet hats and I liked crochet blankets, but I didn't really like crochet for anything else because at the time that I learned, a lot of those like 70s patterns were what was
Mm-hmm.
available. Even though I graduated high school mid 80s, what was available at my local library was still a lot of the 70s stuff and even some of the early 80s stuff when it came to clothing was butt ugly. Okay. And I just felt like knitting looked much more sleek,
Yeah.
like something that I would actually want to wear.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, because like I have subscriptions through my Kindle Unlimited, I have subscriptions to crochet and knitting magazines. And I look at the knitting magazines now and I am bored.
Yes.
I am bored because a sweater looks like a sweater looks like a sweater. It's
Yeah.
just
Well,
it's not. I mean,
part of the
there may be
problem.
some color work to it, but really the shapes of the sweaters are all the same, and it just depends on whether you maybe add a cable or maybe
Yeah.
you use an interesting yarn. But the shapes are all the same. Whereas with
Mm-hmm.
crochet, you can make some really interesting shapes with the different stitches,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it turns out butt ugly. I'm not gonna lie, there are still some people out there who are designing some ugly clothes.
See our tier list of crochet things from 2024, wasn't it? Where we saw some things that we were like, ooh, I would never do that.
But there are some, in particular, I don't like things that are very like clothing that looks very bulky.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's supposed to be a soft, squishy, comfortable kind of cardigan. But for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, I don't like really bulky looking
Yeah.
stitches on clothing. And that's why I preferred like stockinette stitch sweaters. That was my thing for a long time. And I might still make myself one, but like if I want to make myself something where I want to wear it and have people go, "Oh, that is so nice. Where did you get that?" "Oh, I made that myself."
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you knit a sweater, people will not, you can knit a
People
sweater.
assume you bought it at Target.
Exactly. If you knit a sweater, if you do it right, where there's no errors or anything weird in it, people think you just bought it at the store. And I used to think that was a compliment. And now I'm like, So
I
yeah, my favorite
fully,
thing about crochet right now is that there are some designers now who are really making sophisticated patterns of things that you actually want to wear and be
mm,
seen
I kind of want to knit a cardigan that just says "I made this" on the back.
in.
I made it.
Okay,
Ask me about it.
what is the worst thing about crochet to you?
Um, I don't know. Let's see. What is the worst thing about crochet to me? Okay, I've got two answers for this. One is, and this is probably just a me problem based on how I hold my yarn, but I will get yarn burn on my
Uh-huh.
finger from the way that I hold my working yarn because I do
Hmm.
that's continental, right? Or it would be continental if it was knitting.
If it was knitting, yeah.
Yeah, I hold my yarn the way that you would hold it for continental knitting. And so the yarn rests against my finger right here and will burn. I will like, cause like I said, I am a pretty quick crocheter. I will like,
Hmm.
and so it'll like run across my finger and my finger will get sore, which is irritating because then I have to stop and can't continue doing what I'm doing. And then the other thing that I'm thinking of, and I'm thinking of one particular project that people who have been following us for a while would know, crochet will eat up some yarn.
See, you stole mine.
Yep, I did. Snatched it right out your brain. Crochet will eat up some yarn.
That is, yeah, that is, because I have two things that I consider the worst. And again, one is general and one is personal. In general, oh, well, actually, I have a third thing. One, in general, I piggyback on yours. Yarn is, it just eats up. Crochet eats up so much yarn. So much yarn. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, y'all, but this is spring in the South. It is 80 some degrees.
Why? What temperature is it here? Because I live further
But
away from her. I live in the mountains, in the mountainous areas. Oh, I got a new phone and have not put my city in here to see what our temperature is.
but yeah, crochet eats up a ton of yarn. And if you are on a budget like both of us are, you can't get a project done in a minimal amount of yarn. Oh, even you have 80s. Oh my goodness.
80 degrees.
Um, but also for me personally, crochet crochet can be painful. Can be,
Mm-hmm.
just like a lot of my hobbies. That's why I have to switch between crochet, knitting, and coloring are my three main hobbies right now because I feel like they work different parts of my arm. And but like right
Coloring
now,
can be painful. I
yes.
did that one mystery mosaic picture, but granted, I
Mhm.
did it all in one evening because I didn't want to lose my
Uh-huh.
colors. I didn't want to restart it or do anything. I was like, I'm working on this coloring page and I want to be done with it. Whew, my whole hand was
Yeah.
sore from coloring in all those blocks. Coloring can take it out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but coloring is less painful for me unless I'm doing colored pencils. Coloring is less painful for me than crocheting or knitting. It just depends. But like it depends on what yarn you're using, it depends on what
Mm-hmm.
kind of hook you're using, blah blah blah. But like right now I'm working on a blanket in Bernat blanket ombre and
That Burnett
using
will tear your arm up.
yeah, using a I think I'm using an 8 millimeter hook and it's just all the way up to my shoulder.
Yep.
So I
And
can't. So
imagine.
so the worst thing is that I can't crochet as much as I would like because I have a deadline for this blanket that it needs to be
Mhm.
done in a month, and I still got four giant cakes of yarn to finish, and I don't know how that's going to happen. But my third worst thing that I was going to add, because this tag is not just a crochet creator as in I'm creating crochet, but crochet creator as in we create videos about crochet,
Mhm.
although not as much as other people. But we're not exclusively a crochet channel,
Yeah.
but we do create videos about crochet. Um, One of the worst things for me is that because with the pain and the cost of yarn, I cannot I could not be an exclusive crochet
Yeah.
creator because I cannot make projects fast enough
Mhm.
to make videos frequently enough.
And the
Because
yarn hauls and all that stuff. Yeah.
I can't afford the yarn hauls. I can, and I mean, I know there are a lot of creators now who are um like de-influencing, who are
Mhm.
going against the trend and making videos about you don't have to buy all this stuff to be a creator or whatever. But I'm just not creative enough, I guess, to come up with video ideas of what to talk about if I'm not bringing you new yarn or a
Mhm.
new project every week. I don't design my own stuff. I
Also,
don't.
if you couldn't tell from this video, which who knows how much editing is going to be on this video, we don't like to do a bunch of editing,
Uh.
which we could make it a bit more interesting if we did a lot more editing. But we have jobs, we have lives, we have things.
We
Which not
we
not
just
that those other people don't have jobs and lives, but like,
we just want to. I mean, maybe I can't speak for you, but I just want to talk to people because I used to be a blogger when blogging was
mm-hmm,
popular. I was a blogger for several years, not a super popular blogger or anything, but I had people who read my blog. And my favorite thing was writing my thoughts down, getting my thoughts out there, and
mm-hmm,
then having a conversation in the comments with the people who would felt the need to comment
yeah, that's what I liked about
blog.
posting to TikTok. Was I
That's
post my silly little video and then talk to people about my silly little video.
that's what I enjoyed the most. And that's the only reason I can even started doing the YouTube thing because blogging fell off and people started more watching videos and TikTok and that sort of thing. And so I was trying to recreate that same feeling that I
Mm-hmm,
got from blogging with a video format. But in video, you have to have so much more stuff.
mm-hmm.
You have to have this. I can't just type up my little thoughts and put them out in the world. You have to have so much more stuff. And if you do any kind of video, like if you are a booktuber, you have to read a certain number of books.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't buy books.
I mean, the
So
library exists.
I read, I kind of read the same kind of book over and over.
You do, you
I
do.
think people would get tired of what I read, so I couldn't be a booktuber. I couldn't, if I was a colorist, I don't have the right kind of camera to do the whole top down, look at my
Mm-hmm.
pictures thing.
We
And
are a variety channel.
exactly, we have a variety of hobbies, but just not enough. So to bring it back to what I was saying, the worst thing about being a crochet creator for me is that I can't be a crochet creator because I can't
Mm-hmm.
crochet fast enough to be a crochet creator.
I feel like I could, but I don't want to do all that filming. The filming is going to slow me down, is the problem.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can crochet a ton of stuff and be like, okay, it's Wednesday. Here's this thing I made, and this thing I made, and this thing I made. If I had to film the creation process for all of that and then maybe do a voiceover or something, absolutely not.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Yes. Yes. So that brings us to the last question. Crochet plans you're excited about for the future.
Let's see, crochet plans I'm excited for. I've been talking about cardigans. I am trying to make myself a cardigan. I started a cardigan, but the yarn that I was using, one is DK weight yarn. Two has little bobbles on it that makes it a little bit harder to work with. And 3 was black yarn. And so it was so hard to see the stitches in the crochet pattern that I was using. So I might pivot to making that with knitting, depending on how that, maybe, because the knitting is also slow. I don't know what to do with that, but I really am excited about making myself a cardigan, because it's going to be a cardigan for me. Not that I'm selling to anyone. It's going to be a cardigan for me that I can wear to work with my cute little work outfits. Hint for a video that we're doing later. All my cute little work outfits. And then 2, I really want to make at least one parasol. I've been looking at the parasols that the other, oh no, and I can't remember his name now. Something Curiosities. I can't remember his name now. I'll post it here. Ding. I need to stop doing that and making
Please
edits
stop
for
doing
myself.
that, because you know you're not going to. But go ahead.
We'll see. But there's a creator on Instagram who makes a bunch of parasols, and he just put out a couple YouTube videos on where he gets his parasol bases, like the staves, the staff, the frame, and the like how to search for the proper pattern to use, and blah blah blah, and how to attach it and stuff. So I really want to make at least one parasol. If I only make one, then it's going to be my own parasol that I guess I'm just going to carry while we're on the beach. After on our cruise, we get off on the beach and I got a parasol, so I'm not in the sun. But if I can make a couple, those would be fun to have at markets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think those are the 2 things I'm excited about.
I don't think I have any plan. I can tell you what plans I have for this year, because at the beginning of this year I made a little Google Keep for myself list. But I'm not a person who gets overly excited about things. So when you say what plans are you excited about for this year, it's rare for me to get excited about things, really. I'm just, you know me, I'm not that person.
Yes.
So I can say these are the things that I'm probably going to work on this year. I don't know that I'm terribly excited about any of them. I would like to finish them.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be glad when I finish them. But excited is a strong word for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I have
emotions never at 11.
Really. I have the Blue Lines blanket that I
Yes.
am making for your father.
Do you have it handy?
Which is
You're pulling it
right
up.
next to me. Right next to me.
It's looking so good.
I know. I'm holding it upside down, but whatever.
It still
I
looks
just
good.
grabbed it.
I
So
like the way that yarn looks in that pattern. It looks very nice.
yes, that's Burnett blanket ombre in whatever shade of blue that is.
Mm-hmm.
I have, what else do I have here? I was going to make a shawl for your Aunt Connie because she admired the cover up that I wore last year or
Mm-hmm.
the year before. I want to finish those Avatar blankets. This has got to be the year. I have got to finish those Avatar blankets.
I think you should split up the work. You do some of the squares. I do some of the squares. I mail you my squares that I've worked on. You sew them together because I'm not sewing anything. And then a blanket is done.
But I'm scared that if we do that, that your squares might end up either bigger or smaller than my squares, because I crochet really loose.
Okay, but then when you sew them together, it'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll even, if you need me to, I will even do a gauge
I know it's hard.
swatch.
I know it's hard.
I might even do a gauge swatch if you need me to.
But honestly, I might take you up on that, because I mean, your sisters graduated from high school in what, 2014 or something? And
That's so long.
and I was supposed to, and they asked for these their junior year of high school.
I didn't realize it was that long. I don't know why I was
Yes.
thinking that it was later than that they asked for.
No, they were in high school.
Oh my gosh, that's like, so if they graduated in 2014, they asked for
I
it in
mean,
their
I'm
junior
throwing a
year.
number out there. They may have graduated earlier than that. I don't remember.
Well, if I graduated in 2011, they're 4 years younger than me.
So 2014 could be about right.
Yeah. But if they ask for it in junior year, that would be 2013 at the latest. So 2013 to now 2025, it has been 12 years.
Yes. Yes. Many a year. So I might take you up on it for these blankets.
Ooh, I'm getting
But
weird
yeah,
notifications.
so
What is this?
the avatar blankets, and it will just take a weight off me to have them done.
Mm-hmm.
So that, because I have other patterns that I want to do, but it just take the weight off me to have them done. I also have on my list, your Aunt Terry has asked for another pair of slippers, because the first pair of slippers I made her was with that discontinued yarn, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't seem to be like strong enough for walking
Mm.
across the floor. So
Mm-hmm.
I am probably gonna, if Red Heart has a size 5 yarn, I may do that, and may try to find some sort of, because they make like rubber things that you can
Yeah,
put on
things
the
that you can
bottom of
stick
the
on the bottom.
slippers. So I might do that.
Or you could do that thing where you crochet it into the sole of a flip flop. Like you take the flip flop bit out and then you crochet into, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, but she enjoys the fact that they're really soft to wear.
Oh, squishy on the bottom,
So
yeah.
she likes the squishiness of them. So I would just probably put some dots of something on the bottom so that
Mm-hmm.
they are non-slip, because she's got wood floors in her house.
Mm.
And she also wants a pair for her sister. So, because their grandmother used to make them booties
Mm-hmm.
like that when they were kids. So those are the things that are on my list. I mean, I have other things just in general in my favorites on Ravelry that I want to make eventually, but those are the things that are on my
Mm-hmm.
list. Plus, something
Our
that's not
crochet along.
necessarily, yes, the crochet along, which will either be me making that dress, or I was thinking of making a belt and a, those sleeve things that are popular.
Oh, the boleros, where it's
Yes,
just a
although
sleeve
I
and
think they're
stuff's right
calling them
under.
something else, because they're really just the top of a sweater, but you stop right
Yeah,
here.
well, some people call them
Not
boleros.
the ones that are open, but the ones that are like
Yeah,
the
that
top
it,
of a
yes.
pullover sweater, except they stop right
Yeah,
here.
some people are calling them boleros. Some people are just calling them crochet sleeves. Some people
Yeah,
are calling them shrugs.
they're not shrugs.
They're not. It's the snood thing all over again.
Uh huh. But so yeah, so the crochet along is coming in June. The family vacation crochet along is coming in June. So definitely, I that's something that's going to take up a good bit of my time.
And if you want to join
So
our crochet along, we do our crochet along a little differently. We're not all following the same pattern. We just all pick a big project to work on together. So there are, if you join in our live streams on Wednesday, we have a few other friendos over
we
there.
should probably make a separate video for that.
Maybe.
That's what people do. They do crochet alongs and make separate
Then we'll do a
videos.
video.
We
So look
maybe
out for
we
that
should
video.
make a separate throw pillow video for that at the start of the crochet along, to discuss what our plans are for people who don't want to watch a whole long two and a half
You
hour
mean there
live
are
stream.
people out there who don't want to watch our 30-minute intro of just the crossword and then 20 minutes of me explaining my melatonin nightmares and you explaining that you left the house for the first time in a month, and then we finally get over there and we talk about our coffee and we talk about our snacks and then we finally get you.
Exactly. But to wrap this up, my one other plan for the year is that I do want to try buying some yarn from Mary Maxim,
Mm-hmm.
Hirschner's, and Knit Picks,
I want to try buying some
and
yarn
Yarn
from
Inspirations.
I want to try buying some yarn from Hirschner's. I looked at Mary Maxim and didn't see anything that was particularly grabbing for me, but I want to try to buy some yarn from Hirschner's and some yarn from Hobie. Those are the
Oh,
two places I
Hobie's
want to
on
try
the
that.
list too. Yeah, so one of my big plans that I am somewhat excited about, I may be up to a 7, is buying yarn from these different places that I've not bought them for. Because again, I am a Red Heart Super Saver, you know, do or die. So
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much buy my yarn at the local Walmart, and
Or Joann's before it
occasionally
closed.
Joann's if I needed a specific color. So now is the year now that Joanne has abandoned us, this is the year that we need to try some of these other companies and their other
Mhm.
yarns that we've never tried before. So that I am somewhat excited about.
Ooh,
Is
maybe if we
trying.
save up money, we can do just one yarn haul for the year where we buy all of our yarn and wait for it to all come in and do one yarn haul for the year.
Oh, good Lord, that would be so weird. But anyway, thank you guys for watching us do this crochet tag. Thank you to Faded Wildflower Crochet for making this convenient list for me,
Yes.
so that we could do this crochet tag.
This is a pretty good
And
list. I liked it.
it was a good list. It was very concise. And what else do we want to tell the people? Like, subscribe.
Do the YouTube things. Like if you liked it, subscribe, comment if you had some different answers to the questions that we have. If you want
Yeah,
to convince me that gauge swatches are good, if you have some vendetta against Red Heart Super Saver, leave us a
yeah.
comment so that we can comment back because that's what we like to do is talk to
That's
people.
what we like to do the most is comment back to people. So leave us a comment.
I think we're done. Everybody say bye, Colette.